For our first story, we have update after 7 years. My, then 29 female, marriage to, then 29 male, is getting annulled in a few days. Not sure what to do. Link everyone. This is a 7-year overdue update, but I wanted to share how things turned out, so many years later. About 7 years ago, I posted about my marriage getting annulled, link. That post is likely gone now, so here's a quick recap of the main issues. 1. Children. I made it clear before marriage that I never wanted kids, ever. My ex agreed, but the moment we married, he pressured me relentlessly, every single day. He would put a stuffed toy under my shirt and say, "Isn't it nice to be pregnant?" or say it would be so cute to have a little child clinging to my legs, etc. He also suggested getting a dog, which he later admitted was to encourage my maternal instincts, and then threatened to return her when I didn't change my mind. 2 other women. At a work event, a woman leaned on him, insisted on having dinner at our table, and later invited him to join her in her room's jacuzzi, right in my face. He claimed she was crazy, and that he didn't know her, then changed his tune to he barely knew her, but I checked his messages and found out they had been having breakfasts and coffee together for a long time. There were more incidents like this, including him gaming just to meet a girl he had a crush on. Or asking out 2 girls he used to have a crush on out of spite. I asked him if I could meet a guy friend, he said no, then threw a fit that I even asked. I should have known better than to ask, apparently, and refusing to cancel until I had a meltdown. 3. No responsibility. He had cheated on all his exes and called them crazy. When I finally lost it and screamed at him, he told me I scared him and refused to acknowledge his part in our problems. He wouldn't stop seeing the coworker who started our issues, insisting it was important for networking. They are not even in the same department. In marriage counseling, I told him I'd consider kids if he created a concrete 18-year plan for their care. He refused, saying, "Just have the child, then we'll deal with it." The counselor sided with me, but he stormed out and never went back. 4. My emotional struggles. I behaved badly too. I had issues regulating my emotions, often screaming, crying, and once throwing books in frustration. I look back and cringe in shame and embarrassment. There were more problems, so many of them, but these were the biggest issues. I was lost, heartbroken, and overwhelmed. Reading the comments was hard, and I think I deleted the post eventually to avoid facing them. To the commenters. To the Redditors who were kind and rational in their comments, thank you. Most of you told me to leave and that the marriage was toxic. That was hard to hear at the time, but you were so right. To the few who were rude. Yes, wanting children is okay, but forcing someone who doesn't, tricking them into marriage, isn't. And to the guy who implied my ex paid for everything, no, he didn't. My parents helped me with my master's fees. We went halvesies on the house, everything. Also, the person who suggested I had bipolar disorder. Diagnosing a stranger online is irresponsible. I'm now a psychologist, and no, I don't have bipolar disorder. It's a tough, lifelong condition. I really feel for those who have it. Emotional dysregulation happens for many other reasons. Going through with the annulment. The annulment only confirmed my decision. My ex gaslit me constantly, to the point where I had to keep an evidence list to remind myself of the truth. He falsely accused me of stealing money from our accounts, when all I did was take back wedding gift money from my family. Which he also did. He lied to a lawyer about my financial contributions, saying I paid only $60 for the house, but I had bank records proving otherwise. I paid $70,000. His self-righteous lies were often so convincing that even I doubted myself at times. Referring to my evidence record sheet really helped. Where I'm at, I'm now in a healthy, loving marriage with a husband who makes me feel safe and cherished in ways I never imagined. We've been together 6+ years. Yes, we met very shortly after my annulment, so glad things worked out, and every day just keeps getting better. He's kind, intelligent, funny, and thoughtful and, yes, handsome to boot. We have deep conversations about philosophy, sci-fi, and meaning of life, art, everything. He's everything my ex wasn't, and I see now how much happiness I would have missed if I had fought for that old marriage and stayed. Even if my ex had worked on things, he would never have been able to fulfill me the way my husband does. Therapy, both self-guided and with other professionals, helped me grow tremendously. I've calmed down and learned to manage my emotions. The worst thing I do now when angry is raise my voice slightly or whine. No more screaming, no losing control, no helpless sobbing. Absolutely no name calling. Turns out, a lot of my emotional struggles came from feeling unheard and trapped in a toxic marriage, with someone who was convinced he was God's gift to women. Being in a great marriage with a wonderful person really does wonders for emotional regulation and wellness. I guess I just really wanted to say, if you're in a bad relationship, please don't stay out of fear. Being alone can be terrifying. But nothing is worse than being trapped in misery. For life. Looking back, I can't believe I didn't see how necessary it was to leave. People say Redditors love jumping to break up, but now that I'm in a wonderful, stable marriage, I get it. When you're with the right person, everything feels different. You look at someone stuck in a bad situation and all you think is, why do people accept such treatment? Things could be so much better if they left. I then remind myself that I was once like that too, accepting the worst situations because leaving was too hard. If you're in a bad relationship, please leave, it's not worth it. Know that there is something better out there. Don't let fear keep you from finding it. I'm proof of it, and honestly, even if I had ended up single forever, I can tell you that I would prefer that. In the few months I was single, I realized how bad things were when I went to bed just being glad that there wasn't a new argument or betrayal to discover. Do what is right for you, not what is easy. Love you, Redditors. Thanks for saving people from bad relationships all over the world. That's the end of our first post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, great update. I'm glad your life is so much better now. Our second commenter says, thanks for sharing the update. It's great to hear how well things worked out for you. Our third commenter says, thanks for the update. We're so happy that things worked out for you in the end. My first marriage ended over 34 years ago with an abusive wife. We spent 20 months of our 24-month-long marriage in marriage counseling, and she had secret issues that required her to do private therapy without anyone telling me what they were. It was very uncomfortable having the same therapist for couples counseling, who was also doing her private counseling, and not knowing what all the problems were that were preventing us from having a happy marriage. 9 months after getting divorced, I met my soulmate and we will have our 33rd wedding anniversary this year. I wish you as many years as happiness as well. For our second story, we have, on our anniversary, my 27 male, wife, 27 female, and I were intimate, and she said another man's name during sex. He's a mutual friend. I am at a loss. How do I navigate this? I'm 27 male, in a fight with my wife, 27 female, after an incident during intimacy. For context, we're high school sweethearts married for 6 years. We have a child, 3M. We've been through a lot together. I love her deeply. Our marriage is in a rough patch. Our quality time as a couple is struggling. We're in counseling. We're working on making time for each other and reaffirming our bond. That's our current focus in counseling, and we're assigned intimacy exercises. Part of these exercises is for us to make a consistent, conscious effort for each other. We had a staycation to celebrate our anniversary while our son spent the weekend at his grandparents'. The trip was largely nice, and we got to better focus on each other, but it took a turn. The night of our anniversary we were cuddling, and it turned into more. My wife initiated. She was really into it and expressive, and then out of nowhere she moaned another man's name who's in our friend group. We stopped immediately. There was no mistaking what she said. She looked stunned before recovering and treating it like a texting typo or something. When I questioned why she'd say another guy's name, let alone one of our friends, she swore it meant nothing and that she was just consumed with what I was doing to her. I couldn't buy it. I don't believe it meant nothing. Not the passionate way she said it. I believe she was fantasizing about him while being with me. She insisted it wasn't like that and was only a slip of the tongue. I asked why his name in particular. First she didn't know, then said maybe because she was replying to his texts earlier in the group chat. When I pushed back, she got defensive. She said I was making something out of nothing and how it didn't need to ruin our anniversary. I told her nothing she was saying was reaching me, and I needed some time. She tried kissing me and initiating again like nothing happened, but I turned her down. The incident put a damper on the rest of the trip. We haven't been intimate since, and any steps we've made forward with our exercises have taken a significant leap back. We're in a cycle of awkward silence even in front of our son or her ignoring the elephant in the room. She's being extra affectionate now, but I can't shake what happened. I never thought twice about their friendship, but now I'm seeing past interactions differently. I love my wife. She and our son mean the world to me. I've been committed to working on our marriage, but I'm at a loss here. I feel my wife isn't being honest and is attempting to rug sweep by pouring on affection. I'm left reconsidering everything. I don't know how to navigate forward. I need outside perspectives. TLDR, on our anniversary, my wife and I were intimate, and she moaned another man's name during sex. The guys in our friend group. She downplayed it and said I was making something out of nothing. Now she's being extra affectionate. I don't believe she's being honest. I'm left reconsidering everything. How do I navigate this? That's the end of our second post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, definitely need to save conversations on this for your counseling sessions. I highly recommend using a therapist certified in the Gottman method. Our second commenter says, okay, if this happened with my partner, the first place my head would go immediately would be he's having an affair. But, being on the outside, even though an affair is still on my list of possibilities, I don't think affair is the only logical answer. My other logical conclusion isn't very pretty either though, but it's happened that people are fantasizing about someone else. So, she may just have the hots for this dude and thinking of him gets her going, and she was so in her own head picturing him, that she got lost in her own moment and it slipped out. For me, this option would still be grounds for me to take a step back and question a lot. Even thinking of my partner fantasizing about a friend while having sex with me makes me want to throw up, so I 100% can understand why this has messed you up so bad. I don't think any response is going to make you feel better, honestly. It happened and that's going to be a hard one to forget. Man, I wish I had advice, but knowing how it would make me feel, I got nothing I believe will make this feel any better for you. I would absolutely check your phone records to see if they are communicating more than they should be. That would definitely be my first move. Our third commenter says, damn, that's rough to hear. Especially since intimacy is the focus in counseling. Let your counselor know you're paying for this assistance. See what tools they can provide to help you navigate this. It's a safe place you can vent out and say all this on your mind, even saying you're left reconsidering everything. If anything, it'll be good for both of you to see what comes out here and if you're both willing or not to find a path forward. For our last story, we have boyfriend 31 male just told me doesn't want to marry me because I 25 female went to a link. My writing is tough, it's cause I'm currently crying my eyes out. My best friend came to my country to visit me and we planned a huge trip together. She got to finally meet my boyfriend and they hit it off. We told him we were going clubbing in a famous party town and he seemed okay with it. He was a little uncomfortable but said it was my decision. He wanted me to update him every 30 minutes and I tried, but I also was on, make sure my friend doesn't get drugged, patrol, and so after I lost her in the crowds I started having a panic attack and didn't respond for an hour while I looked for her. It was awful. It was my first time clubbing and will be my last, but while I was looking for her my boyfriend told me he can't date someone who thinks the club is fun and that we maybe aren't compatible. I'm heartbroken. I went just to make sure my friend was okay and had fun. I stayed mostly sober the entire night. I didn't let any guys approach us. I did nothing wrong and he still said this. Is this salvageable? Are his feelings valid? Are mine? I called him the second I found her and I was sobbing not only from the panic of losing her but the fear of losing him too. That's the end of our last post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, is this the same BF that didn't want to tell his female coworker he was text flirting with that he was visiting his GF? Girl, you dodged a bullet. Just let him go. Our second commenter says, let me rephrase this one sec. My friend came to visit, a really special moment for me. We planned an activity together which my boyfriend implied he was unhappy with and made me report in every 30 minutes. When I was unable to do this because of an emergency, he used this as a reason to end our relationship. Is that about right? What would you say if a friend said that to you? Our third commenter says, this exact situation happened to me. Except I went out with a girlfriend for her birthday and was punished with the silent treatment for 24 hours. I didn't heed the warning and apologized, stayed in the relationship, and moved cross-country and signed a lease. A year later, he has become a monster. A coworker dropping me off, getting coffee with a girlfriend, or going on a trip without him send him into an abusive and vindictive spiral. I've called the domestic abuse hotline 3 times and am working with an abuse counselor and trying to figure out how to get away from this man who was Prince Charming 2 years ago. He is showing you a big red flag and you need to take warning. He sees nothing wrong with controlling your life and distrusting you. Things like this do not get better. That's all for today. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.